Ethan Ward's boots crunched against the silver dust that coated the surface of Violia, the distant planet no human had fully mapped. The sky shimmered with soft violet clouds, streaked by two suns that hung low, giving the horizon a strange golden-purple hue. Ethan paused and gazed at the alien city in the distance. It was unlike anything he had seen before. Tall, crystalline towers that seemed to hum with energy, streets winding organically as if the city had grown instead of being built. He adjusted his helmet and tapped the comm device on his chest. "Command, this is Ward. I'm at the edge of the settlement. No hostiles spotted yet. Over." A voice crackled back. "Copy, Ward. Proceed with caution. We don't know the full range of their technology or their social structure. Keep observation first. Over." Ethan nodded, though the commander couldn't see him. He had spent months preparing for this mission, studying alien behavior, memorizing diplomatic protocols, and learning basic Violian gestures. Still, standing here in the presence of something completely unknown, his confidence wavered. As he stepped closer, the hum of the city grew louder. It wasn't just electrical, it almost felt alive, like the buildings themselves were breathing. Shadows moved among the towers, tall figures with translucent skin that glowed faintly in the dim light. Their eyes were larger than human eyes, iridescent and mesmerizing, reflecting the colors of the sky. Ethan's heart raced. This was first contact, not a simple reconnaissance. One figure separated from the others, stepping lightly down a winding pathway toward him. She was smaller than he expected, her movements graceful yet deliberate. Her skin shimmered a soft pearly blue, and her eyes, deep violet, seemed to study him like he was a puzzle. Ethan froze, unsure whether to greet her or remain still. Protocol said to show respect, not fear, but it was hard not to feel exposed. The alien woman stopped a few meters away, tilting her head slightly. She spoke, but not with words Ethan could understand. The sound was musical, almost like a soft melody carried on the wind. He frowned, unsure how to respond. He raised his hands slowly, palms open, a universal gesture for peace. Then she did something unexpected. She reached out, pointing to her chest, and then to him, miming a small circle around herself and him. Ethan frowned, but a thought struck him. He tapped his comm, whispering, "Lyra, are you receiving this? I think she's trying to communicate." There was no immediate response, so he decided to try a gesture of his own. He pointed to himself and said, "Ethan Ward." The alien repeated a sound, softer this time, almost like she was testing the pronunciation. Then she nodded. "I'm Ward," he repeated slowly. "I come in peace." The alien's expression softened. She extended her hand, palm up, in a motion that seemed ceremonial. Ethan hesitated, then placed his hand gently against hers. A jolt of warmth ran through him, a strange but pleasant sensation. It was not physical energy, it felt more like a connection of awareness. I don't think she understands me fully," Ethan muttered under his breath. She tilted her head again, looking curious, and then spoke a few words that the translator device struggled to interpret. The closest approximation was, "Will you be mine?" Ethan's mind froze. He stared at her, unsure if the device had malfunctioned. Did she just ask him to belong to her? Before he could react, she stepped closer, her eyes searching his, filled with a mixture of hope and desperation. "Please," she said more clearly this time, the device catching the tone. "Let me call you my husband." Ethan blinked. The words hit him like a physical blow. His training, his preparation, all the logic in the world seemed to vanish. He couldn't respond immediately, and his mind scrambled to understand what this meant. Was this some cultural greeting? A test? Or was it literal? Lyra's expression held steady, patient, yet anxious. She wasn't aggressive. She wasn't demanding. She simply waited, her hands folded gently before her, her gaze unwavering. Your husband," Ethan stammered, finally finding his voice. We don't even." She shook her head faintly, almost imperceptibly. She spoke again, and the translator processed the words. "In my culture, calling you my husband binds me to your protection. It honors you. It asks for trust. It is not the same as what you humans think." Ethan exhaled, a mixture of relief and confusion flooding him. The words made sense in theory, but the weight of them was undeniable. By agreeing, or even by not refusing, he was stepping into a bond that carried social and perhaps political consequences. He glanced at the city around them. Figures watched silently from the towers and streets. The other aliens were observing. He realized that this moment was not just about him and Lyra. It could influence how humans were perceived on Violia for generations. Ethan took a deep breath. I will protect you, he said slowly, but I need to understand your culture first. You must teach me. Lyra's eyes lit up and a soft hum escaped her lips. She nodded once sharply, a mixture of relief and happiness radiating from her. She extended her hand again, this time an invitation rather than ceremony. Ethan took it. Over the next hours, Ethan and Lyra walked through the alien city. He marveled at the way the buildings seemed alive, their surfaces pulsing faintly in rhythm with the wind. The streets were smooth, yet filled with subtle patterns that shifted as they walked, almost as if the city was responding to their presence. Lyra pointed to various structures, and the translator pieced together bits of meaning. She explained the importance of each building, the roles of the inhabitants, and the cultural rules that governed their society. Ethan tried to memorize everything, understanding that one wrong gesture could be taken as insult. Your people live here in harmony with the city itself, he said at one point, staring at a tower that seemed to glow from within. Yes, Lyra replied. The city is alive, but it listens to the people too. Harmony is balance. As the sun dipped lower, casting long purple shadows across the streets, Lyra led Ethan to a small plaza. In the center was a crystal fountain that floated above the ground, water suspended in midair, glowing softly. She gestured to it and spoke slowly. This is where we honor bonds, protection, loyalty, trust. Ethan knelt slightly, unsure what gesture was expected. Lyra knelt too, and suddenly she placed her hands over his. I choose you, she said, her voice low and steady. Not because you are human, not because you are strong, but because I trust you. I ask you to let me call you my husband. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He was frozen for a moment, overwhelmed by the weight and significance of her words. Yet looking into her eyes, he saw sincerity. He understood that this was not manipulation, not a trick. This was genuine trust, and it was extraordinary. I will accept, he said finally. But understand, this is new to me. I do not yet know the customs, the responsibilities. You must guide me. Lyra's smile was radiant, and for a moment the alien city seemed less intimidating, less strange. It was filled with possibility, with connection. The two of them remained kneeling in the plaza, hands intertwined, while the city hummed softly around them. The calm was short-lived. A sudden vibration passed through the ground beneath them, and distant alarm sounds echoed from the city towers. Figures appeared at the edges of the plaza, moving quickly, speaking in their melodic language. The translator interpreted the closest meaning. Unauthorized presence, challenge incoming. Ethan stood instantly, still holding Lyra's hand. He looked around, assessing. The alien city had rules, and he had unknowingly entered a delicate social structure. Any wrong move could escalate into hostility. Stay close, he whispered to Lyra. I don't know what this means yet, but I'll protect you. Lyra nodded, her trust unwavering. Together they approached the figures cautiously. The lead alien, taller than the rest, with deeper violet eyes, stepped forward. He spoke clearly, slowly, so the translator could capture every word. Human, you have been chosen. This is unprecedented. Your intentions will determine your worth. Ethan bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. I come in peace, he said firmly. I honor your customs. I seek understanding. The alien studied him for several long moments, then nodded. You will begin the trials. Through them, your actions will speak. Ethan froze again, but Lyra squeezed his hand. The trials, he realized, were not just a test of courage. They were a measure of humanity. If he failed, it wouldn't just affect him. It could determine how humans were perceived, and whether an alliance with Violia would be possible. The plaza seemed to shrink around them as the alien figures guided them toward a glowing gate at the edge of the city. Ethan took a deep breath. He had come seeking first contact, and he had found it. But now the challenge was real. The moment he had been preparing for his entire life had arrived, not just survival, but proving humanity's worth. Lyra looked at him, eyes filled with encouragement. You are human, she said softly. But here that means more than strength. It means heart. Show them Ethan Ward. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He glanced back at the shimmering towers, the floating fountains, and the silent streets that watched their every step. He knew that this was only the beginning. A bond had been formed, fragile but powerful. And now the trials awaited, a journey that would test not just his body and mind, but the very essence of what it meant to be human. As they passed through the gate, the city's hum grew louder, almost like a heartbeat. Ethan's grip on Lyra's hand tightened. Whatever awaited them, he would face it, not just as an explorer, but as someone entrusted with honor, trust, and a bond unlike any he had ever known. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the first part of their journey came to an end, leaving the two of them standing at the threshold of a world that demanded courage, understanding, and heart. And Ethan Ward, human among aliens, felt the weight and promise of that first step more than ever. The gate shimmered and folded open like liquid light, revealing a narrow path that led into the heart of the alien city. Ethan and Lyra stepped cautiously, their hands still intertwined. The path seemed alive beneath their feet, faint ripples of energy pulsing in time with the city's hum. Ethan had walked on many planets, but Violia was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was as if the city itself was observing them, judging every step. Lyra's eyes darted to the edges of the path. Figures were watching from the towers above and the streets below. She whispered, "These are the elders. They decide if a bond is acceptable." "The trials are their way to understand you, to understand humans." Ethan swallowed hard. "Trials? You mean tests? What kind of tests?" "Not just physical," Lyra said. "The city watches the heart, mind, and spirit. Humans are strong, but the elders want to know if your spirit can honor trust and protection." The path ended at a vast plaza, bathed in the light of the two setting suns. Around it were enormous crystalline pillars, each one etched with patterns that shifted and glowed softly. In the center stood a circular platform, hovering slightly above the ground. Several figures, taller and more commanding than Lyra, emerged from the shadows. Their eyes shimmered like polished amethyst. One stepped forward, a male elder whose presence seemed to radiate authority. "Human," he said, the translator catching every word. "You have been claimed by Lyra as her chosen protector. You will undergo the trials. Each trial measures a quality we hold sacred: courage, wisdom, compassion, and trust. Fail any and you may jeopardize your bond and your presence here." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had expected diplomatic formalities, maybe some cultural lessons. He had not expected formal trials. He glanced at Lyra. Her face was calm, composed, yet she squeezed his hand gently. "Do not fear," she said. "I believe in you. The city will see your heart." The first trial was simple in concept, but terrifying in execution. Ethan and Lyra were guided to a vast chamber where the ground was covered in glowing, shifting tiles. The tiles rearranged themselves constantly, creating paths, dead ends, and gaps that could open without warning. "The test of courage," the elder announced. "Cross the chamber without hesitation, without faltering. Your fear will be measured. Step wrongly and you fail." Ethan looked at the moving floor and swallowed. His mind raced. Every instinct screamed to move carefully, to analyze before stepping. But he remembered Lyra's words. The city watched the spirit, not just the body. Hesitation might cost him more than a misstep. He nodded. "I understand," he said firmly. He took Lyra's hand, and together they stepped onto the first tile. It shifted beneath them, tilting slightly. Ethan adjusted his weight instinctively. Lyra's grip was steady, giving him silent reassurance. As they moved, tiles shifted faster, some rising into sharp crystalline points, others lowering into glowing pits. Ethan's heart pounded, but he forced himself to focus on the rhythm of the floor, the pulses beneath his feet. Each step required trust, not just in himself, but in Lyra and the strange energy of the city. Halfway across, a tile collapsed beneath them. Ethan lunged instinctively, pulling Lyra to safety. The tile crumbled into luminous shards, harmless yet startling. The elders observed silently, their faces unreadable. Ethan realized the chamber wasn't just testing physical courage. It was measuring his reactions, his instinct to protect, his presence of mind under pressure. Finally, they reached the other side. Ethan exhaled, muscles trembling, and glanced at Lyra. She smiled, a mixture of pride and relief. The elder nodded once approvingly. "The courage is accepted. Now the test of wisdom." They were led to a circular chamber lined with intricate devices that hummed softly. The center held a floating crystal sphere, divided into layers that spun independently. Symbols appeared on the surface, shifting and recombining constantly. "This is the trial of wisdom," the elder explained. "Align the layers to restore harmony. You have limited time." The test measures not only intellect, but understanding, perception, and patience. "Rush and you fail." Ethan stared at the sphere. The pattern seemed impossible to follow. He could feel the sweat prickling on his brow. I've never seen anything like this," he murmured. Lyra leaned close. Observe first, do not force the pieces, see the connections, not just the movement. Ethan studied the layers carefully. Slowly, he noticed patterns repeating at intervals, colors cycling in a sequence. He realized that each layer's movement affected the others. His mind clicked into strategy mode. He moved his hands deliberately, manipulating the sphere while Lyra guided him with quiet suggestions. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Sweat ran down Ethan's back, but finally the sphere aligned. A soft chime echoed through the chamber and the symbols glowed steadily. The elders nodded, impressed. "You see the connections," one elder said. "Wisdom is not knowledge alone, but understanding the balance of forces. You pass." Ethan exhaled, feeling the weight of relief. 2 trials down, 2 to go. The next trial was the most unsettling, compassion. They were led to a vast hall, dimly lit, with several life-sized holographic figures scattered around. Each figure displayed suffering in some form: loss, fear, loneliness. Ethan was instructed to reach out and alleviate the suffering using only empathy, words, and gestures. He could not touch or harm the figures. His heart and understanding were the only tools. At first, Ethan felt awkward. He was a soldier and an explorer, not a healer. How could he comfort illusions? But as he focused, he realized the trial tested more than him. It tested humanity. He spoke to each figure softly, reassuring, listening, acknowledging their pain. With each act of empathy, the hologram's expressions softened, their forms glowing brighter until they dissolved into light. Lyra watched him closely, pride shining in her eyes. "You understand," she whispered. "You truly understand what it means to protect more than life." The elder nodded once. "Compassion is measured not by deeds alone, but by intent. You pass this trial as well." Ethan's confidence grew, though fatigue tugged at him. He had one final trial to face: trust. They were guided to an enormous chamber suspended above the city, connected by a transparent bridge that seemed to float in midair. Below, the city shimmered like a living circuit. Lyra stepped onto the bridge first. "This trial tests whether you can trust the unknown and the bond you have made. Step carefully, but step boldly." Ethan nodded. He stepped onto the bridge. Immediately, parts of the surface shifted unpredictably, tilting and rotating. It was impossible to see the safe path. He felt panic rise, but remembered Lyra's hand in his, her trust in him, and the lessons of the previous trials. He focused on the rhythm of the bridge, letting instinct and trust guide him. Every step was a balance between fear and courage. At one point, a section tilted sharply, and Ethan thought he would fall. But Lyra's hand steadied him, and together they moved forward inch by inch, step by step. Halfway across, a glowing rift opened beneath them, revealing nothing but the city far below. Ethan's stomach lurched. He froze, but Lyra looked at him, her eyes steady. "You can do this," she said. "Trust yourself, trust me, trust us." He took a deep breath, let go of the panic, and moved forward. Each step felt heavier than the last, but he remembered the courage, wisdom, and compassion he had demonstrated. Trust, he realized, was not blind. It was informed by all that had come before. Finally, they reached the end of the bridge. Ethan exhaled, muscles trembling, heart pounding. Lyra squeezed his hand, and the elders stepped forward, nodding approvingly. "You have passed," the lead elder said. "Human, your spirit is accepted. You honor the bond you have claimed. You have shown that humanity carries courage, wisdom, compassion, and trust." Ethan let out a long breath, relief flooding him. He looked at Lyra, who was beaming, her eyes sparkling with pride and happiness. The bond between them, formalized and recognized, felt stronger than ever. Lyra leaned close. "You have shown the city and yourself what it means to be human. This is only the beginning, Ethan. There is more to learn, more to face, but we will face it together." Ethan nodded. "Together," he agreed. For the first time since arriving on Violia, he felt fully present, fully capable, and fully human. The two of them stood on the platform, watching as the city hummed around them, alive and radiant. Ethan realized that humanity had not just survived first contact. It had begun to prove itself worthy of respect, trust, and perhaps even friendship with an alien civilization. As night fell over the city, the crystalline towers glowing softly in the twin suns' afterlight, Ethan understood something profound. The trials had tested more than skill or knowledge. They had tested his heart, and in every measure, humanity had not failed. Lyra's hand in his was steady, warm, and reassuring. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Ethan felt ready. Ready to face whatever came next, not just as a human explorer, but as a protector, a partner, and a bridge between two worlds. The city around them was alive, watching, and waiting. And Ethan Ward, human among aliens, had passed the first true test of his life. The glow of the city had faded into night, but Violia never truly slept. Its towers pulsed faintly, the hum of the city vibrating through the air like a heartbeat. Ethan and Lyra stood on a balcony that overlooked the streets below, the trials behind them, and the unknown ahead. Though he had passed, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. There were challenges that no test could simulate, dangers that no training could prepare him for. Lyra's hand rested gently in his. "You have done well," she said, her voice soft but filled with pride. "The elders will speak of your courage. But the city itself has more to show you, more than just tests. There is a balance here, and sometimes balance is fragile." Ethan studied her, noticing the subtle tension in her expression. Something lay beneath her calm tone, a warning he could not ignore. "What do you mean?" he asked. Before she could answer, a distant rumble echoed through the city. The lights of the towers flickered, pulsing rapidly, and a deep vibration rolled under their feet. Ethan stiffened. He had heard this vibration before in simulations of planetary seismic activity, but this was different. It carried a resonance that was alive, intentional, almost intelligent. Lyra's eyes widened, a rare expression of fear crossing her features. "It's not the city," she whispered. "Something approaches, something dangerous." From the horizon, a shadow moved. It was enormous, impossible to mistake. A fleet of alien ships, jagged and black, unlike anything Ethan had seen before, descended from the dark sky. Their movements were coordinated, precise, and terrifyingly fast. Lyra gasped. "The Krethians," she said. "They hunt, they destroy everything in their path. We cannot fight them alone." Ethan's mind raced. His first instinct was to reach for his weapons, but he realized something important. This was not a human battleground. The city itself was vulnerable, and any wrong move could provoke destruction. He had to think beyond guns and shields. Strategy, diplomacy, and courage would be key. The elders appeared beside them, their faces grim. "Human," the lead elder said, voice steady but urgent. "You have shown strength in trials. Now your true test begins. Protect Lyra, protect the city, protect the bond. Your humanity must rise to meet this threat." Ethan nodded, swallowing fear. He had trained for hostile encounters, but this was different. This was a battle of survival, diplomacy, and ingenuity all at once. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. Lyra stepped forward. "We must warn the city first. Then we must find a way to stop them, or at least survive. Follow me." They ran through the glowing streets, moving swiftly past towers that seemed to hum in warning. Citizens scattered, moving to safe zones or taking shelter in the crystalline structures. Ethan marveled at the harmony. Despite chaos, the city maintained order, a living intelligence guiding its people. Reaching a central chamber, Lyra activated a console that displayed a holographic map of the city and the approaching Krethian ships. Ethan studied it carefully. The enemy fleet was vast, far superior in firepower, and moving too fast for a direct confrontation. Retreat was impossible. The only chance was to use the city itself, to turn its living systems into a defense. Lyra's eyes glimmered with determination. "We must synchronize the city's energy grid with the defensive systems, but it requires precision and trust." "You must do exactly as I say," Ethan nodded. "Tell me what to do." They moved to a control hub at the center of the city. Ethan's fingers hovered over alien interfaces that glowed and shifted under his touch. He followed Lyra's instructions, adjusting power flows, redirecting energy pulses, and stabilizing the city's defenses. The hum of Violia rose in intensity, a chorus of energy that thrummed in Ethan's chest. Outside, the Krethians advanced. The sky lit with bursts of energy as the first attacks hit the city's outer shields. Ethan felt a pang of fear but forced himself to focus. Every decision mattered. One mistake could cost lives. Lyra guided him through the calculations, her voice steady, a beacon amidst the chaos. "Now, redirect the energy to the northern pylons. Balance it with the resonance in the southern towers. Trust the city, it responds to you." Ethan took a deep breath and followed her instructions precisely. The city pulsed under their control, energy arcs snapping and intertwining to create barriers, shields, and deflection grids. The Krethian ships collided with these defenses, their attacks deflected, their movements slowed. "You're doing it," Lyra said, eyes wide with awe. "You're thinking like the city itself." Ethan felt a surge of pride, but it was short-lived. One Krethian ship broke through the outer shield, heading straight for the central plaza. Ethan and Lyra exchanged a look of alarm. There was no time to evacuate. He knew what had to be done. "Follow my lead," he said. "We lure it to the energy node. I can amplify the pulse and overload its systems." Lyra nodded, and together they guided the ship toward the node. Ethan adjusted the energy flow, feeling the strain on the circuits. Sparks flew, and the hum of the city became a roar. The Crethian ship collided with the pulse field, emitting a shriek of energy before exploding in a flash of light. For a moment, silence fell. Ethan and Lyra stood amidst the trembling city, hearts pounding. Then more Crethian ships advanced, seemingly coordinating in response. The battle was far from over. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. "We cannot do this alone," she said. "We need the people, the citizens, to help. Their bond with the city amplifies its strength." Ethan nodded. "Then let's give them direction." Together, they rallied the citizens. Using gestures, voice, and the city's interface, they coordinated a network of energy flows that turned the entire city into a living weapon. Streets became conduits, towers became batteries, and the city itself responded to the humans' and aliens' intentions. Ethan marveled at the complexity. Violia was alive, and it listened. The Crethians attacked relentlessly, but the city adapted. Ethan led small squads of citizens, guiding energy flows, coordinating defenses, and improvising tactics as new threats emerged. Each wave of attacks tested his courage, his wisdom, his compassion, and his trust in others. Every decision, every instruction mattered. At one point, a Crethian ship broke through the defenses near the outer residential towers. Ethan ran toward it with Lyra beside him. Civilians fled, their glowing forms scattering across the plaza. Ethan activated a localized pulse, diverting the ship into an open area where energy nodes could trap it. Sparks flew as the ship was caught and neutralized. Lyra looked at him with awe. "You've done more than survive the trials. You've saved lives, humans and Violians alike." Ethan shook his head, breathing heavily. "I didn't do it alone, we did it together." The battle raged for hours. Ethan's mind was sharp despite fatigue, processing, predicting, adjusting. He realized the city's living systems were like a massive organism. Every decision affected the whole. By working with Lyra, he could guide the city, using humanity's ingenuity alongside Violia's harmony. Finally, the Crethians began to retreat. Their formations faltered, ships broke apart, and the remaining vessels fled into the dark horizon. The city hummed with exhaustion but remained intact. Citizens emerged cautiously, eyes filled with relief and admiration. Ethan collapsed onto a crystal platform, heart pounding, sweat dripping down his brow. Lyra knelt beside him, placing a hand gently on his arm. "You've proven your bond," she said softly. "Not just with me, but with our people. They see your heart. They see humanity's worth." Ethan looked at the city around them. Despite the destruction, it was alive, resilient, and vibrant. He realized that humans were capable of more than survival. They could adapt, cooperate, and inspire trust even in a world entirely foreign to them. The lead elder approached, moving through the recovering crowd. "Human," he said, voice steady but filled with respect. "You have faced what no trial could simulate. You have shown courage, wisdom, compassion, and trust not only in controlled tests but in true peril. You honor the bond you share with Lyra and with our people." Ethan nodded, exhausted but proud. "Thank you. I only acted as any human would: protect, adapt, survive. But I see now that there is more. There is understanding, connection, and respect. That is what matters." The elder inclined his head. "You have learned the highest lesson of our city. Humanity is not defined by strength alone, but by the spirit that guides action. You have proven that humans are worthy allies." Lyra's eyes shone as she leaned close. "You've shown them and me what it means to be human, and in doing so you've made this bond real, stronger than any ceremony could make it." Ethan smiled faintly, still catching his breath. The weight of the trials and the battle pressed on him, but it was a weight he welcomed. He realized that every step, every decision, every act of trust had led to this moment. He had not only survived, he had grown, and humanity had been proven worthy in the eyes of an alien civilization. As the city recovered, Ethan and Lyra stood together on the central platform, looking out over the streets filled with citizens and their families. The hum of Violia was steady again, a gentle pulse like a living heartbeat, a reminder of the bond between human and alien, trust and protection, courage and compassion. Ethan's hand found Lyra's. "Whatever comes next," he said, voice steady despite fatigue, "we face it together, not as alien and human, but as partners, as friends, as something more." Lyra smiled, eyes glimmering with pride and warmth. "Together," she agreed. The night sky stretched above them, dark yet alive with distant stars. Ethan knew this was not the end. Challenges would come, threats would rise, and the unknown would always call. But for the first time, he felt ready, not just to survive, but to thrive, to protect, and to honor the bond that had been formed. The Krethians had tested them, the city had tested them, and the trials had tested them. Ethan had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not technology or firepower or even strategy, but heart. Courage, wisdom, compassion, and trust were not just words. They were actions, and in this alien world they had proven their value. Lyra squeezed his hand again. "Tomorrow the elders will guide us in the next step of our journey. There is much to learn and much to do, but tonight," she paused, looking at him, "tonight we have one and our bond is real." Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. The bond was more than ceremony, more than words. It was trust, protection, and understanding. And it was only the beginning. As they stood on the balcony, the city alive below and the stars infinite above, Ethan felt something he had not felt in a long time: hope. Hope for himself, hope for humanity, hope for a future where two worlds, human and Virelian, could walk together, united by courage, heart, and the unbreakable trust that had begun with a simple plea. "Please, let me call you my husband." The city of Virelia had quieted after the battle, but the scars of conflict were visible. Crystalline towers still pulsed weakly where energy surges had strained their structure. Streets glimmered with fractured light, and citizens moved cautiously, tending to repairs and ensuring everyone was safe. Ethan Ward walked beside Lyra, hand in hand, feeling the weight of exhaustion pressing on his shoulders. He had faced more than any human in recorded history had, yet he had survived, and more importantly, he had earned the trust of an entire alien civilization. Lyra led him to a higher platform overlooking the city, a place reserved for the elders. The air shimmered faintly, infused with the city's energy, and Ethan felt a quiet power surrounding them. He looked down at the streets filled with glowing Virelians moving calmly, and he realized that the city itself seemed to breathe with relief. The lead elder approached, his amethyst eyes serious yet not unkind. "Human," he said. "You have demonstrated courage, wisdom, compassion, and trust. You have proven your bond with Lyra and with our people. But the galaxy is wide and threats are many. The Krethians may return and other dangers may follow. To survive and protect, you must learn more than our trials can teach. You must learn the ways of Virelia and walk in unity with our people." Ethan nodded, feeling the significance of the moment. "I understand," he said. "I want to learn, I want to protect. I want to be worthy of the bond I share with Lyra and the trust of your people." The elder inclined his head. "Then you will begin a new stage of training, not a trial but a journey. You will learn the city, the land, and the galaxy. Together, you and Lyra will lead our people in the face of threats yet unseen. Only by walking side by side, human and Virelian, can the future remain safe." Lyra squeezed Ethan's hand, her eyes bright with pride and warmth. "We can do this," she said softly. "We will face whatever comes together." The days that followed were filled with learning and preparation. Ethan moved through the city with a new sense of purpose, guided by Lyra and the elders. He learned to read the city's energy flows, to communicate without words through gestures and resonance, and to synchronize human technology with Virelian systems. He discovered the depths of Lyra's culture, their rituals, their understanding of life, their reverence for balance and trust. Every lesson reminded him of how fragile and strong life could be. Ethan began to see humanity through alien eyes and Virelia through human eyes. The lessons were difficult, yet exhilarating, and each day strengthened his connection with Lyra. Their bond, formalized by her request months before, now felt unbreakable, a true partnership based on trust, respect, and shared purpose. One morning, the elders summoned Ethan and Lyra to the council chambers. The city's hum resonated through the walls, soft and expectant. The lead elder's voice was solemn as he spoke. "Human Lyra, a threat approaches, different from the Krethians. It is vast, intelligent, and relentless. Its ships are unlike anything we have seen. You must lead our defense and prepare for what may be the most dangerous encounter our people have faced." Ethan's mind raced. This was the moment he had feared and hoped for simultaneously. He felt a mix of anxiety, determination, and resolve. "We will do everything we can," he said firmly. "We will protect this city and your people no matter the cost." Lyra stepped closer, her gaze steady. "And we will face it together," she said. "You will not be alone." The preparations began immediately. Ethan coordinated with the elders and Lyra, devising strategies to defend the city, using the living energy of Violia itself. Citizens were organized into teams, linking their energy to the city's defense systems. Ethan marveled at their coordination and ingenuity, realizing that unity and trust were as powerful as weapons. When the enemy fleet arrived, the sky darkened with the presence of hundreds of massive ships. Ethan's pulse quickened, but he stood firm. Beside him, Lyra's hand was steady, her confidence a beacon. "Remember your lessons," she whispered. "The city will follow you if you lead with heart." Ethan nodded and activated the city's defenses, directing energy flows, coordinating the citizens' power, and predicting enemy maneuvers. He moved with precision, using both human ingenuity and the harmony of Violia. Each decision was critical, and the city itself responded to his intent, flowing with him like a living ally. The battle was intense. Enemy ships attacked in relentless waves, trying to breach the city's shields and destroy key towers. Ethan directed energy pulses to deflect attacks, create barriers, and trap enemy vessels. Lyra moved beside him, guiding citizens, stabilizing energy nodes, and offering strategies that leveraged Violia's unique properties. At one point, a massive enemy ship broke through the outer defenses and headed straight for the central plaza. Ethan's mind raced. He could not allow it to reach civilians or Lyra. He initiated a complex maneuver, redirecting energy through the city's core to form a containment field. Sparks and arcs of light shot through the streets, illuminating the city in bursts of brilliant color. The enemy ship collided with the field, its hull melting and disintegrating in a dazzling explosion. Citizens cheered softly, but the battle was far from over. More ships approached, testing the city's defenses. Ethan realized that winning would require more than strategy. It would require inspiring confidence and trust in everyone present. He turned to the citizens, raising his voice so it carried across the plaza. "We are stronger together. Trust the city. Trust each other. We will protect our home." A wave of energy surged through the crowd. The citizens, inspired by Ethan's words, synchronized their efforts, linking with the city's systems to form stronger shields, redirect attacks, and coordinate defenses. Ethan felt the pulse of Violia responding to the combined will of humans and aliens working in harmony. The enemy fleet faltered under the coordinated defense. Ships collided, miscalculated, or were trapped in energy nets. Ethan and Lyra moved through the city like conductors of a symphony, directing each movement, ensuring that no lives were lost unnecessarily. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Finally, the remaining enemy ships retreated, disappearing into the dark expanse of space. Silence fell over the city, broken only by the soft hum of Violia's energy. Ethan sank to the ground, exhausted but victorious. Lyra knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said softly. "We did it together." Ethan smiled faintly, still catching his breath. "Yes, together." The lead elder appeared, moving through the recovering citizens. "Human Lyra, your actions have saved countless lives. You have demonstrated that courage, wisdom, compassion, and trust are not just words, but living principles. You have shown humanity at its best." Ethan stood, feeling the weight of the elder's words. He realized that the journey had been more than survival, it had been proof. Proof that humans could rise to meet any challenge, protect life, and inspire trust, even in a world utterly foreign to them. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining with pride. "Ethan Ward," she said, her voice carrying across the plaza, "you have earned the trust of my people and the bond you sought. Will you continue to stand with me, not just as protector, but as partner, as husband?" Ethan felt the familiar warmth in his chest, the same feeling he had experienced when she first asked him months ago. Now, after trials, battle, and shared struggle, the words carried a deeper meaning. He nodded, smiling. "Yes, Lyra, I will stand with you, as your husband. As your partner, together." Lyra's smile was radiant. She stepped closer and clasped his hands in hers, a gesture of unity and trust. The citizens of Violia watched silently, some bowing, some glowing softly in acknowledgement. The bond was not only personal, but symbolic. a human and an alien, united in respect, trust, and shared purpose. Over the next days, Ethan and Lyra worked to strengthen the city, rebuild damaged towers, and prepare for any future threats. Ethan learned to move through Violia not as an outsider, but as a trusted partner. He shared human knowledge, creativity, and strategy, while Lyra and the citizens shared their wisdom, harmony, and understanding of the living city. Together, they created a system stronger than either species alone could achieve. One evening, as twin suns rose in the violet sky, Ethan and Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The streets below were filled with glowing citizens, working together in harmony, the city itself radiating life and energy. Ethan turned to Lyra. "We've come far," he said softly. "I never imagined that humans could be accepted in a world like this. But now I see that it isn't about being human or alien. It's about heart, trust, courage, compassion." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the first light of dawn. "And now our bond is more than ceremony or words. It is action. It is proof of what we can do together. The future is uncertain, but we will face it side by side." Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. "Side by side," he agreed. As the suns rose higher, the city of Violia shimmered with new energy, stronger and more resilient than before. The citizens, human and alien alike, moved with purpose and harmony. Ethan realized that humanity had not only survived first contact, but had proven its worth. The trials, the battles, the challenges, they had revealed the best of human spirit, a spirit capable of trust, courage, wisdom, and compassion. Lyra leaned close, her hand in his. "Whatever comes next," she whispered, "we face it together." Ethan smiled, looking at the city, the citizens, and the infinite sky beyond. "Together," he said, and in that moment he knew it was true. Humanity had found a place and a partner among the stars. The bond formed by a simple plea, "Please let me call you my husband," had grown into something extraordinary. Not just a promise between two beings, but a bridge between worlds, a testament to what could be achieved when trust, courage, and compassion led the way. As the city pulsed gently beneath them, Ethan and Lyra stood together, looking forward to the future. Uncertain, full of challenges, yet bright with possibility. They had faced the trials, survived battles, and proven the value of humanity. But most importantly, they had proven the power of trust, partnership, and heart. And for Ethan Ward, standing beside Lyra on this alien world, it was only the beginning.